There have been a lot of reports in recent days about the 055 destroyer sailing around Australia. Up to now, the Australian Navy has a total of 3 destroyers and 7 frigates, making a total of 10 major ships. Among them, the Hobart-class destroyers are the absolute main force of the Australian Navy. As a 7,000-ton class main destroyer that will gradually enter service after 2017, the Hobart-class destroyer is the absolute workhorse of the Australian Navy. Hobart-class destroyer compared to China's 052D in the end, who is stronger? The answer to this question not only involves a contest of technical parameters, but also reflects the deep differences between the strategic positioning and industrial capabilities of the two navies. When the Chinese Navy to 055 type 10,000-ton large drive formation to complete the strategic deterrence of the voyage around Australia, the outside world focuses more on the huge number of mature technology 052D. This is known as the Chinese Divine Shield destroyer. In the same tonnage, in the end, how to achieve the same type of ship against the West, how to achieve the same tonnage platform on the same type of Western ships beyond. The answer may be hidden in the scanning accuracy of the radar beam, the compatibility of the weapons of the pitot tube unit, and the welding flour in the shipyard around the clock. From the point of view of the technology of the radar system generation, Hobart-class, although inherited from the United States Aegis system of genes, but it is equipped with an SPY-1D V passive phased array radar, is still essentially a product of the improvement of the technology in the 90s of the last century. This radar uses a combination of mechanical scanning and electronic scanning, air detection range of about 320 kilometers. There are physical limitations in the ability to deal with multiple targets, especially in response to saturation attacks, or prone to loopholes due to the lack of efficiency in beam scheduling. On the contrary, 052D is equipped with 346A active phased array radar. Each TR component can transmit and receive signals independently, which not only raises the detection range to more than 450 kilometers, but also can track 400 air targets and guide missiles to intercept 100 of them at the same time. More critically, the Chinese research team has increased the radar's power density by 3 times through the application of gallium nitride materials, which makes the 052D's anti-jamming capability significantly better than that of the Hobart class in the complex electromagnetic environment of the South China Sea. Australian defense analyst John Braxland has pointed out that the speed of progress of Chinese shipboard radar has broken the myth of Western technological blockade. Hobart-class radar system in the face of the 052D, like a digital camera encountered a smartphone camera. The generational differences in weapon systems are equally significant. Hobart-class 48 units of Mk41 pitot tube system can launch standard -2/6 air defense missiles and Tomahawk cruise missiles, but its 635 mm launch tube diameter limits the space for weapons upgrades, cannot accommodate a larger volume of new generation missiles, and cannot be achieved a pit of 4 bombs. The 052D's 835 mm tube diameter limits the space for weapon upgrades. It can't accommodate larger new generation missiles, and it can't achieve 4 bombs in 1 pit high-density deployment. In contrast, the 052D's 850 mm general-purpose pitot tube system is called the Maritime Arsenal. Each unit can be loaded with both the 200 km range of the Red Flag 9B anti-aircraft missiles, but also can carry a range of 1,500 km of the Eagle 21 hypersonic anti-ship ballistic missiles. This Mach 10 breakout speed of the weapons can be in the terminal attack when the plasma sheath, making it difficult for the enemy to attack the ship, generate a plasma sheath that would render existing shipboard defenses largely ineffective. More notably, Chinese engineers have realized hot and cold co-launching in the same pitot tube through a clever concentric launcher design, a technique that even the latest US Mk57 pitot tube system has yet to fully overcome. When the Hobart class is still using Harpoon anti-ship missiles with a range of 124 km, the 052D's Hawk 18 sub-super combined anti-ship missiles already have a 290 km striking radius and can swoop down and attack at Mach 3 in the final stage, an asymmetric advantage that is decisive in naval confrontation. The difference in the reliability of the power system reflects the gap between the two countries' shipbuilding industries. Although both use diesel-fueled alternating power, the MTU-12V1163TB93 diesel engine of the Hobart class has repeatedly suffered cooling system failures in tropical waters, and the Brisbane was forced to interrupt its deployment in 2021 due to overheating of the main engine. On the other hand, the 052D's domestic QC280 gas turbine can still maintain an attendance rate of more than 95% in the South China Sea under an average annual water temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, and its active magnetic levitation bearing technology reduces the vibration noise to less than 110 decibels. A submarine-grade quiet standard that greatly enhances anti-submarine combat effectiveness. From the point of view of seaworthiness, the later batches of 052D, through the optimization of the bulbous bow line, have the transverse rocking angle controlled within 12 degrees under Class 6 sea state, while the Hobart-class has a transverse rocking angle of more than 15 degrees under the same condition, which has a key impact on the ability of the shipborne weaponry to continuously lock onto the target. Chinese ship engineers revealed in an interview, "We achieved the breakthrough in hull hydrodynamic performance only through the accumulation of 300,000 hours of pool test data, and this experience needs to be supported by a complete industrial system." The order of magnitude difference in fleet size reveals an essential difference in naval strategy. While Australia has 3 Hobart-class ships as the core of its fleet, the Chinese Navy has formed a destroyer cluster of 28 052Ds and 8 055s, a scale advantage that not only brings tactical resilience, but also gives rise to systematic combat capabilities. In the simulation of the 2023 US-China maritime standoff, the air defense network of 12 052Ds could intercept 240 anti-ship missiles simultaneously, while the Hobart-class fleet of the same size would have an upper limit of 96 missiles. More far-reaching impact is the cost dilution brought about by the scale effect. 052D construction costs have been controlled within $900 million, while the Hobart-class single-ship cost of up to $2.3 billion. This cost-effective difference allows China to dumplings. Speed of the expansion of this difference in price performance ratio allows China to expand its fleet at a dumpling pace. According to a report by the Institute of Naval Strategic Studies at the University of Sydney, the tonnage of destroyers launched annually by China's 4 major shipyards is equivalent to 1.5 times that of the Australian Navy's current mainstay ships combined. The divide in strategic positioning ultimately determines the orientation of equipment performance. As a supporting project for Australia's participation in the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy, the Hobart-class is still an extension of the U.S. combat system, and its core mission is to provide regional air defense cover for U.S. carriers. This subordinate status has led to the design of this class of ships sacrificing multi-mission adaptability, such as anti-submarine capabilities rely only on MH-60 or helicopters, and land attack is entirely dependent on Tomahawk missiles, which require U.S. forces to provide targeting data. In contrast, the 052D has emphasized independent combat capability from the outset of its design. The ship's Direct 20F anti-submarine helicopters, towed line arrasonables and rocket-assisted torpedoes form a 3-layer anti-submarine network, and the Hawk 18 ground attack cruise missiles are equipped with a terrain-matching guidance system that allows them to accurately strike targets 1,500 kilometers away without satellite support. This omnipotence in the 2024 Red Sea escort operations have been verified. 052D in a single ship deployment successfully completed air defense, anti-piracy, medical rescue and other complex tasks, while the Hobart-class has not yet had a similarly complex scenarios of combat testing. The industrial base of the disparity more destined to the fate of the two different. China has a complete industrial chain from special steel smelting to phased array radar chips. The 052D's localization rate has reached 95%, while the Hobart-class relies heavily on imports of key subsystems. SM's Navansha shipyard to provide hull design, the U.S. Lockheed Martin to integrate the combat system, and Canada to provide the data link equipment. This patchwork construction model has led to difficult upgrades, and when Australia attempted to retrofit the Hobart with a laser anti-missile system, it found that there was insufficient spare capacity in the electrical system to require a complete overhaul. On the other hand, the 052D has a 45% power redundancy in the ship's integrated power system, and the latest improved model has been experimentally fitted with an electromagnetic rail gun. This technological foresight comes from China's military industry, production generation, trial production generation, pre-research generation, virtuous cycle. As Japan's Asahi Shimbun comments, when Australia is still discussing the next generation ships on the drawing board, China's next generation destroyers have already been shaped on the ship platform. When the Type 055 destroyers led the formation off Australia, The waters once considered the West's backyard are witnessing a historic shift in naval power. 50 Tods were not directly involved in the operation, but their technical expertise has been fully demonstrated through the fleet's coordination. In the satellite images, the 052Ds provided medium-range air defense cover for the entire formation. In satellite imagery, the 052D provides medium-range air defense cover for the entire formation, with a radius of 400 kilometers, a figure that is a direct testament to the detection capability of its phased array radar. The strongest response from the Australian Navy was to send 3 Hobart-class ships to accompany the formation, a gap between quantity and quality that vividly reflects the two countries' maritime strategies. As the U.S. Center for Naval Analysis report states, the 052D represents not only a ship's superior performance, but also a systematic demonstration of a land-based country's ability to chart a strong course to the sea, a capability that includes shipbuilding speed, technological iteration, and tactical innovation, and is redefining the balance of power at sea in the 21st century.